Hello, dear listener, and welcome to another episode of Right Here, Right Queer. I'm Tess Carletta, joined today with Noah Hawthorne,
Hello.
and we're talking about selling books directly. But what do we mean when we say selling direct? What does that mean to us?
To me, selling direct is you are buying directly from me, and that could be like buying them from my author store, or Ingram also has this fancy feature where you can buy direct from authors. So it kind of like cuts out the middleman, so to say. And I think that would be the big thing is there's no one between you and the reader.
And most of the time we're talking about books instead of book merch, although it can include book merch. But most of the time we're just talking about selling books directly. So how do you, Noah Hawthorne, sell your books directly, and why do you like it?
Well, mine are not as fancy as yours. I'll say that right now. You have the most beautiful. What? You have the most beautiful selling direct package, whatever, out of anybody I know. Because, like you said, it's not always books, but usually when you buy from the author, they'll try to, sweeten the deal for you, and you're pretty good at that. I, on the other hand, just sell from my bookstore, and I think you use Etsy, right?
That's right.
And I sell a book, which I sign, and I put in usually art prints, which is usually just like a print of the book cover without all the text. And I do stickers if I have them, or whatever extra book merch I really have at the time. And I try to put in like a little handwritten thanks kind of a deal.
And why do you like selling direct?
Well, it makes me feel like I'm more connected to the reader and I can give them all that fun stuff. And even though it's just like a quick handwritten, thanks for supporting indie authors, like I really like receiving that as a reader. And I like being able to give that to my readers. Feel like I never really used to like I would just pick up a book and read it. The author wasn't really like a huge thing. And now we're so conscious of who we're supporting. And it just gives you another way to connect with that person even more, I feel like. So I like people to be able to do that.
I also feel like it's a nice way to do it in like an appropriate setting. Like there's been a lot of discourse lately about parasocial relationships with your favorite authors because I remember what it feels like as a reader, and I still do with some like big name authors, what it's like to be able to talk to your favorite authors. It kind of feels big and intimidating. I've heard of some people like sliding into authors' DMs and expecting friendship in exchange for readership, but this is a nice way to establish that connection in a way that maintains the boundaries to protect both the author and the reader, I think.
I agree with that. And I do become friends with a lot of my readers, but I like to leave that in their court, so it's a good way to connect.
Exactly. So as Noah said, I also sell direct, and I was raised by really conservative women who, for any occasion, any time, I was writing thank you notes. So I have always been conditioned to write a really thoughtful thank you note. So I think that there's just something like from that kind of childhood that tells me that everything needs to be super thoughtful and super personalized all the time. So I sell direct from my Etsy shop, and that's gone fairly well for me. I like it because I don't get this influx of orders. Like if someone wants a signed copy, they're there. And when I first started, I spent so long packaging up all the orders, and like I'd wrap them up in brown paper and tie them up with twine and wax seal the twine and put stickers and washi tape all over the packages. A lot of times people wouldn't even order extra stuff from the shop, but I would throw it in because I had so much of it, and I was like, take a bookmark, take a sticker. And it was paid for because I had gotten all that stuff from the Kickstarter, so I was like, this will be really nice marketing stuff and people can take pictures of it and whatever. And that went really well. But when I have like lots of orders to do, it can take a really long time. And what I did instead for Gold Heart recently was, instead of wrapping everything in brown paper, and this also matched the aesthetic of the book, I wrapped everything in tissue paper, sealed it with wax that, instead of putting it in a spoon and letting it melt for several minutes, I got little wax sticks for a hot glue gun. So there are little like sticks of wax that you can get that are just like hot glue sticks, and you just stick them in, and it's so much easier. It's so much more worthwhile. And I like all of this for the same reasons that you do, that it lets me connect with the reader, but it also lets every experience be just a little bit personalized. Because most of the time when someone's buying off of my Etsy store, I already know who they are. I'll be like, oh my gosh, you've been following my account for so long. It's so nice to have you interacting with my posts. Thanks for supporting my business. I really appreciate it. Helps make what I do possible. There was one time I got an order from someone who lived in the same area as one of my family members. Their order was late. I was late getting their order in the mail because I was in that exact town for the weekend. And so when I wrote their letter, I was like, "Dear so-and-so, you should know that the reason I was late getting this order to you was because I was 5 hours away from home in your zip code. I was waving at you while I drove by. Here's your package." So that kind of stuff is really fun and makes it worthwhile.
Yeah.
So that's all the fun stuff. What are some challenges that we face selling direct?
Well, you said it just a minute ago, right? All those packages. Like, it's nice until... And, you know, I really haven't had this except for, like, pre-order season. You know, you get a whole bunch at once. And that's really the only time I've ever gotten a whole bunch. But, like, it can be a lot going to the post office. And I literally live right down the street from the post office. So if there's ever, like, a delay getting there, it's because of my own health or the weather because it snows or whatever all the time. Not really a distance thing for me, but it can be a lot getting down there, and then you gotta do all the paperwork, and it's a whole thing, which I really enjoy doing. If I didn't want to mess with it, then I just wouldn't do it. Another thing, too, is, like, I didn't really have a lot of extra merch stuff, but in my heart did. So I gave away a whole bunch of stuff, and then I'm like... I can't sell any of this stuff now. And you think in your head, well, it's just a sticker. Like, yeah, it is just a sticker, but they each cost a couple of bucks, and then it all ends up eventually. Yeah. So I think it's kind of hard, because like you say, most of the time you know who the person ordering, because if they're ordering a signed book, they are probably already familiar with your work or emotionally attached to it in some way. Otherwise, they would have just got it from somewhere else. So you want to do something really nice for them. You have to balance the business/feelings part.
My challenge that I was going to bring up is kind of the same thing. It's just generally the specific logistics of selling directly. Being an indie author, overall, is a lot of estimation and educated guesses where you might not be educated. You have to go based off of what everyone else is doing and what you already know, what you've already experienced. So selling direct, I think there's a tendency to want to buy like a lot of books and a lot of merch and have everything on hand so that when the orders come flooding in, you can just fill all the packages. But if you're a smaller indie author like I am, and especially when I was first starting, like, you don't need to keep 55 copies of your book on hand, probably. And you don't need 200 stickers because all of that, you put money into it and it takes a while for that money to come back, especially if you're like me and Noah and you're giving shit away. Like, there's just a lot of things that you have to think about, like, not only how much of everything you have on hand, including shipping supplies, but where do you keep it? I just bought a bunch of author copies to sell directly, to take to events, and to bring to a convention. And there were 27 20-pound boxes that I had to figure out where in my tiny little home I was going to fit 300 books.
It's like, yay, 300 books, but also, fuck, 300 books.
It's like the only time in my life I've ever been like, oh, I have copies I can bring to stores and sell. Like, I don't have to worry at all about how many that I have. But at the same time, it's a lot of space. And, you know, I have 2 main books going right now. I've got Kitten Basie and Goldheart. Well, I had maybe 25 boxes of Goldheart, and 2 of them were Kitten Basies, and they were at the bottom of the stack in the closets, and then you have to go digging through like a burrowing little groundhog to get to your author copies. And these are all just tiny little things that you have to take into consideration when you're planning about how to sell direct. And so when you think about like the prices of things and how you want to do things, make sure you're taking into consideration like all the materials. For me, the brown paper, the twine, the stickers, the wax, all those different things, so that when you are calculating your profit and trying to account for the business side of things, you have all your bases covered and there aren't any surprise challenges or expenses.
You're so eloquent and well said.
Thank you. I'm really trying.
I think when you first go into indie authoring, most of the time you just want to tell stories, blah, blah, blah. That's how I was. And I didn't really account for all the tiny little things, and it really bit me in the ass. And I am more aware now. You want to at least keep paying for itself. Like, I want to be able to keep getting illustrated covers. that's a big expense of mine, and the ISBNs, really big base expenses. If I want to be able to pay that back, then I have to be able to put money back into it, so I need to do it efficiently. And from a person that has, like, a series, it's also hard to figure out what to stock for a series. Because, like, when I had my first series, the steampunk one, it was 3 novels, 3 novellas, and a lot of the times people would just order the first one. Or you would get people that would order the whole thing, but there would be, like, these weird... The numbers would be off, so I'd, like, have 3 of this one and 2 of this one and blah, blah, blah. And so that's kind of weird, too, trying to figure out that from a series standpoint.
I'm not there yet, but I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Do you sell directly from, like, a third-party merch website that, like, creates stuff as it gets ordered? Like mugs and t-shirts and stuff?
I tried with one place, but it was like they charged you when the order was made, however much the order was, and then later, once the customer's payment came in, they reimbursed you, and I'm too broke for that shit, so I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, you get a $20 order, and they automatically take $20 out of your account until the customer's payment comes through.
Excusez-moi French, but that's fucked up.
Right, so I ordered a couple of things for myself, because I really wanted to try it, and it was good quality and I liked it, but I couldn't do it.
I just was curious because that's like a whole another can of worms that we haven't really talked about, and people probably have encountered this not just with authors but with musicians and influencers and all the different people who have merch in the world. But you can design merch and have it basically readily made once it's ordered, and that's one thing I have thought about when considering the storing problem in my home. But I'm also like, I hate, like, generic merch stuff. I never want that. I don't want to say never, but I rarely want that as a consumer. So asking my readers to invest in something like that, it doesn't sit right with me, but I think it can be done correctly.
And, I'm sure it does work for some people, and, they're more popular, but I just feel like that I don't have the audience for that, or my books aren't, there yet. Might be something in the future, but, and I really did love the mug I got for myself, the Famine Rook mug. I had it for a couple years, and it actually just broke this year, and I'm like, I would get another one.
No!
I know! It was my husband's fault. He didn't mean to, but he felt so bad. I'm like, it's just a cup, it's alright, and he's like, almost in tears, like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, he's such a good one.
Yeah, he's a little golden retriever.
I also think that, like, the third-party merch selling, it just occurred to me that the reason why I don't like it is because I can't write a thank you note and package it up all pretty.
Yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Right, and that's fine, like, I guess, but for me, where I really pride myself on the way that things arrive to someone, it's not cute when it just arrives wrapped in bubble wrap with your name slapped on the front. I don't know.
And sometimes that's all people can do, and definitely not trash it on that. Just to get that book in the package and out the door is probably hard enough, but I think most of the time, like, I wrap mine in brown paper and put wax on it, and to me that feels magical. I don't know. It just feels like 5 minutes were spent on it. So even if you can't do that, just putting a quick note in with it still gives that feeling.
I used to support a webtoon artist on Patreon, and she had a monthly sticker club. She still does. I don't do it anymore because I did it for like 3 straight years, and I'm like, if I get any more stickers of these characters, I'm literally going to have to start making wallpaper out of them. But when she first started doing it, she would hand sign all the little cards that came with the stickers that were like, monthly sticker club, love, Ingrid. And I held on to every single one of them because it just felt so special to have her handwriting on a little card, and now they're in my scrapbook. So I definitely think you're right that you don't have to, like, wrap everything up in paper or make it all fancy or whatever, like sometimes I do, to make it feel personal. Like, a little note really does go a long way. Somehow communicating with the reader that you were there and you put it together with love, I think, is what I'm trying to get at.
So, I have a secret shame, and I give my husband shit because he saves boxes for everything. He gets a new knife, saves the box. I'm not really like that, but I do order, like, stickers and comics and stuff a lot from, like, Crossroad Art, and they're over across the pond, and they have, like, a stamp that is their front of the box, and it's just, like, a brown box, brown paper envelope sometimes. Sometimes there's been a note, sometimes it's just everything wrapped in twine, and I had probably over, like, a dozen little boxes or packages or envelopes in my drawers, and I'm like, I've saved all of these just because they wrote my name and address on it, or wrote me little notes, or, it's just... And we were talking about why do we keep these empty boxes, and my theory is we remember opening the package and the feeling of joy we felt when we opened it. So that's a hoarder's perspective.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Sometimes I have to let things sit aside for a while before I feel like I can emotionally part with them, especially things I receive in the mail. So we kind of touched on this a little bit when we were talking about challenges, but do you have any advice or warnings that you would give authors wanting to sell direct specifically?
Don't be like me and Tess and give all your shit away for free. If you're gonna give stuff away, plan ahead for it. If you're gonna make a listing for a signed paperback with 2 stickers, and you don't include the sticker in the price, or, just be mindful. Be mindful of what you're sending to people, how you're doing it, even if you can't package it like some of your influencers that you see or whatever, just like a note goes a really long way, I think, and just try not to compare yourself to these people that are, wannabe Tess's, because no one can be like her, but...
Oh my goodness.
Just put your heart into it and you can't go wrong, I feel like, and just be mindful. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, even if it's like the advice that you take is just don't send anything out that you wouldn't yourself want to receive.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten a few books in the mail that were just thrown into a mailer. No thank you, it was just the book. No invoice. And then the mailer was cardboard and it was out on the porch in the rain, so the book got wet, and I was like, this is the saddest mailing experience I've ever had.
Yeah, you might as well have just bought it from Amazon or something,
Right.
Which, fuck Amazon. Go to Bookshop. They're having a fuck Prime week. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be done, but anyway.
Shop at Bookshop anyway.
Yeah, they're awesome.
All the time. Or shop direct. This is another thing I think that readers don't know because they don't live it. Almost always, buying direct from the author is a really, really, really good way to support the author in the best way you can. Because when we sell to bookstores, we offer our books usually around a 50-ish% discount, which means that the royalties we make are cut in half at least before our distributor takes their cutout. But if you buy directly from an author, for example, I can print Goldheart for $10. If I sell it at $20, then I make $10 in royalties compared to the 50 cents I make on Ingram Spark. So obviously that's a really noticeable difference. So if you're nervous about contacting or like ordering directly from an author you admire, just know that that really can go a long way.
Yeah, I agree. And I actually have some of my books a little bit cheaper on my website to match. Not really match, because I still actually make a couple more dollars than what I would on Amazon, whatever. I think I make $4 a book if you buy it on my website as opposed to like $2. Something like that.
Yeah.
I would rather pass that on to you, the reader. And what I found doing paperback arcs for The Voice of Wild Places, I wanted to be able to send people paperbacks this time. It's usually not financially feasible for me, and I am kind of kicking myself in the ass, but I was able to send people books. Now, mind you, these are not signed. These are directly from the printer, from Ingram, for between, I think it was $11 and $13. Some of them were $11, some of them were $13. And then I sent one to Canada for $19. And that's the book and the shipping.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
How long's that book?
470 pages?
I don't know why I thought it was smaller than that. Slay on.
No, it's chunky, and it's got the nice fancy groundwood paper, so it makes it look even thicker.
Wow.
Or whatever, maybe. It just makes it real floppy. I know that, and I like floppy.
My advice also for selling direct is to not do what Noah does and take your packages directly to the post office, but to instead utilize a service. Now, this is if you have to ship them yourself, and like Etsy makes the shipping labels for me. But if I had like a Shopify or my own personal website where I had to manage the shipping myself, what I would use instead is a service like Easy Ship or ShipStation, depending on the volume you're shipping. EasyShip has a free option, although I don't know why I'm hemming EasyShip, but the service and I have been having, we've been waging war with each other for the last few weeks, and I've been using them for 3 years and everything's been fine up until now. So I still would recommend them. Just be careful with sending several payments through all at once. And ShipStation is more of a monthly subscription, but both of those services are going to allow you to have discounts with shipping. So sometimes the discounts are anywhere between 60 and 80% off the what it would be if you just walked into the post office. And then you can do a bunch of them all at once, print the shipping labels out all at once, and have the packages ready to go at the post office. Like I said, EasyShip has the free option, and that's 50 packages a month. So if you're just a really, really small business and you're not shipping all that much, that might be the way to go.
So I don't really have the volume, but I think that when I'm manifesting that I'm going to have a lot of pre-orders. And when I do that, I think I am going to do, at one point I was going to try pirate ship, but then I had to get a scale to weigh my packages and stuff, and that was just too much, and I couldn't do it, so.
What you could do if you need to weigh your packages is sometimes the post office will have a scale there. You can either bring the items and weigh them individually and then do the math yourself, or you can bring one of the packages and weigh it and then know that ahead of time. Because you'll need to know the weight and the size of your package. There's so many sexual innuendos in here. You'll need to know the weight and the size of your package. But no matter what service you use. So that's one way you can do it. More logistical things for our listeners. Media mail is a very, very, very valuable resource if you're just sending books. But depending on your postal service or your post office and how much of a stickler they are for the rules, technically media mail is supposed to be just the book and maybe a thank you note. So if you're mailing, for my Kickstarter, I just did enamel pins. And the lady at the post office was like, you could send this media mail. I was like, actually, lady, I couldn't. Because there are other things other than books in here, like an enamel pin. But that usually offers a discount. So a single big book will cost $5 or $6 to mail, depending on the size of the book and where it's going. Just be aware that you can't just add random shit in there. If they shake it and they hear things bouncing around that aren't a book, they're going to open it up and charge you the actual shipping. Are there any author shops you want to shout out for being good?
I mean, you, Sebastian. You guys are so epic and cool with your books. I'm trying to think the last time I ordered signed books from people that was not you guys. This is the last time I ordered a signed book. It was the Blood in the Water hardback from Nina. And that was awesome, it was signed, and I got little doodads, and that was really fun. I did the Dead Cowpokes Don't Wrangle Kickstarter, which to me, Kickstarter is direct. And I did your Kickstarter.
It's direct.
We didn't even talk about Kickstarter, but yeah, that's direct too. That's its own whole thing.
I've been supporting a lot of Kickstarters. I've gotten 2 books in the last month or so from Kickstarter. Because there were a lot of really good ones going on at the same time as the Gold Heart one. And I was like, I want this book and I want this book. But Kellen Graves, who is known for their Prince of the Sorrows series. That's not what the series is called, but that's what the first book is called.
Yeah, I have that one. Dude, they do sketches in their books sometimes, right?
Yeah, you can. So they have an Etsy shop that they open, not all the time, but they'll have the shop open for a few weeks or something. And I learned a lot about how to do Etsy from ordering from them and from looking at their Etsy store, because they'll have not only copies of their books, but B-grade copies of their books so they can sell their books at a discount for when they're weird from the printer. But you can pay to have them sketch in it, because Kellen is also a really accomplished artist. So they'll sketch on the title page, character art. Or it might not even be Kellen's art, because I know Kellen does art, but I think they also have their partner, who's the cover artist, will sometimes do the sketching. And those books, despite being, higher in price, are still really kind of accessible for the amount of artwork and book that you're getting. But they have all sorts of other really fun book merch too that goes along with their books. And so I just think they do a really awesome job. I won a giveaway from them once, so I've gotten giveaway mail, and I've also bought off their Etsy, and everything is just always really awesome from them. So 10 out of 10 recommend.
Heck yeah. And good point about bringing up the B grades, because I stopped ordering from Amazon for multiple reasons, but one of them being that the way they shipped or printed, I don't know, I would get books that were damaged all the time. So what do you do with them?
Yeah. Anyway, the TLDR on selling direct is it's a lot of work, but it's worthwhile and it's meaningful. And if you have the means and space to do it, then by golly, give it a try. And if you're a reader, you should try buying direct and see how you like it.
Heck yeah, it's a fun time.
Now, Noah, where can our listeners find you if they want to buy your books directly from you?
You can find everything you need on my website, which is Neshama Publishing, NESHAMA.com.
And you can find me generally on Instagram at tess.carletta. But you can also find my signed books and all my other merch on my Etsy shop. So you can either go to etsy.com/shop/TessCarlettaBooks, or you can just go to tesscarletta.com and click the Etsy shop tab. It'll take you right there. In the meantime, we just want to thank you for listening, and we hope you'll join us next time.